cherished cast members of Little House on the Prairie have gone in very different directions decades after the show's conclusion. While some lived quietly away from the spotlight, others stayed in Hollywood. The actor who played Albert Ingalls, Matthew Liberteau, is one name that never ceases to astound fans. He looks magnificent in his 60s. However, what about the other actors? Their paths are full of surprises, ranging from poignant tributes to abrupt job shifts. Who continued to act? Who left the spotlight? And which stars today are almost unrecognizable? Discover the current locations of the Little House on the Prairie cast and how their lives have changed over time. Michael Landon as Charles Ingalls. Michael Landon, the show's heart and soul, portrayed Charles Ingalls, the series' devoted father and moral compass. Landon made a lasting impression on television history by directing and producing numerous episodes and starring in the program. He wrote and starred in Father Murphy and Highway to Heaven after Little House. Regretfully, Landon died of pancreatic cancer in 1991 at the age of 54. His offspring, many of whom pursued acting careers like Leslie Landon, who also starred in Little House, are a testament to his legacy. Landon's portrayal of Charles Ingalls, which embodies the virtues of kindness, family, and resiliency, is still recognizable. Melissa Gilbert as Laura Ingalls. As the lively and daring daughter of Charles and Caroline, Laura Ingalls, Melissa Gilbert, rose to fame. She received 2 Emmy nods for depicting Laura, and Gilbert grew up on the show. She continued to perform in TV shows and films after Little House, such as Babylon 5 and The Nanny. From 2001 to 2005, Gilbert also presided over the Screen Actors Guild as its president. In recent years, she's participated in Dancing with the Stars competitions and authored memoirs such as Prairie Tale. Actor Timothy Busfield and Gilbert married in 2013, and Gilbert still supports the arts and children's welfare. Karen Grassel as Caroline Ingalls. Caroline Ingalls, the devoted and independent mother of the Ingalls family, was portrayed by Karen Grassel. Grassel received a lot of praise for her portrayal of Ma. She returned to her theater roots after Little House, appearing on Broadway and in local companies. She also starred in television series such as Highway to Heaven and Murder, She Wrote. Grassel is not held back when discussing her battles with drinking and her path to recovery. She's still active now and promotes addiction treatment. The way that Grassel portrayed Caroline is still a well-liked representation of maternal elegance and strength. Melissa Sue Anderson as Mary Ingalls. Laura's older sister, Mary Ingalls, played by Melissa Sue Anderson, had to deal with losing her sight. Anderson was nominated for an Emmy for her performance. She starred in TV films like The Equalizer and Happy Birthday to Me after Little House. In the 1990s, Anderson relocated to Canada and mostly stopped performing. In 2010, she shared her experiences on the show and her life following in her memoir, The Way I See It. Anderson now lives in tranquility with her husband and kids, though she still periodically attends Little House reunions. Allison Arngrim as Nellie Olson. Allison Arngrim created one of TV's most memorable villains by bringing the cunning, pampered Nellie Olson to life. Nellie was a fan favorite because of Arngrim's relationship with Melissa Gilbert and her humorous timing. Inspired by her friends with co-star Steve Tracy, who died of AIDS, she became an advocate of HIV and AIDS awareness and the prevention of child abuse after Little House. In addition to performing stand-up comedy and attending fan conventions, Arngrim authored a memoir titled Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. She accepts her place in TV history with grace and humor, and her depiction of Nellie is still iconic. Sydney Greenbush as Carrie Ingalls. Carrie Ingalls, the youngest of the Ingalls sisters, was portrayed by Sydney Greenbush and her twin sister Lindsay. The part was split between the twins, with Sydney being credited for her quiet yet charming demeanor. Sydney left acting after Little House to pursue a career in equestrian sports and horse training. She is still proud of her experience on the show and has periodically reconnected with the actors for special occasions. Despite being less noticeable, Sydney's portrayal of Carrie gave the Ingalls family dynamic a charming innocence. Dean Butler as Almanzo Wilder. In the television series, Dean Butler played Laura's future husband, Almanzo Wilder. Fans were taken over by his endearing performance as Manly. His on-screen romance with Melissa Gilbert emerged as one of the show's highlights in subsequent seasons. Following Little House, Butler appeared on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The New Gidget. In addition, he made documentaries about the legacy of Little House. Butler is still involved in entertainment and frequently attends fan events and cast reunions. One of the most treasured aspects of Little House history is his portrayal of Almanzo. Lindsay Greenbush as Carrie Ingalls. Sydney's twin sister, Lindsay Greenbush, also played Carrie Ingalls. Following the show, Lindsay, like Sydney, stepped away from acting to pursue a job outside Hollywood. She periodically goes to Little House reunions and has experience working as a graphic designer. Despite being minor, Lindsay's contributions to the series helped shape Carrie, the show's adored heroine. One of the first twins to play a significant role together, she and Sydney hold a special place in TV history. Matthew Labourteau as Albert Quinn Ingalls. Before joining the cast as Albert, Charles and Caroline's adopted son, Matthew Labourteau made flashback appearances on Little House as a younger Charles Ingalls. His depiction of Albert's hardships and victories struck a chord with viewers. Labourteau switched to voice acting after the program, most notably in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. He also starred in Night Court and The Love Boat. Labourteau has been married since 2020 and is still employed in the entertainment sector, juggling his love of music with acting. Catherine McGregor as Harriet Olsen. The comically extravagant Harriet Olsen, Nellie's mother, and the Mercantile's proprietor was portrayed by Catherine McGregor. Harriet was a fan favorite because of McGregor's comic timing. She gave up acting after Little House to concentrate on her spiritual interests, which included learning Buddhism. At the age of 93, McGregor passed away in 2018. One of the series' most enduring and adored characters is still her portrayal of Harriet. Jonathan Gilbert as Willie Olson. After a stint on Little House on the Prairie, Jonathan Gilbert, who portrayed Nellie Olson's naughty brother, Willie, left Hollywood. Jonathan's path diverged from his sister Melissa Gilbert's, who went on to pursue acting. He left the limelight once the show finished and went on to work as a stockbroker. He's kept his life quiet and hasn't talked much about his time on the show. Though his choice to stop performing seems permanent, his absence at Hollywood conventions and reunions has stoked rumors. Fans of Little House still remember him as the loving but troublemaking Willie Olson, even after his quiet exit from the entertainment business. Richard Bull as Nels Olson. Harriet Olson's patient and frequently overwhelmed husband, Nels Olson, was played by Richard Bull. Unlike his on-screen wife, Nels was the voice of reason in their general store in Walnut Grove. After the program, Bull continued his acting career by starring in shows like Designing Women and Highway to Heaven. Additionally, he starred in movies like The Andromeda Strain. Bull maintained a close relationship with Little House co-stars Michael Landon and others. He tragically died in 2014 at the age of 89. His portrayal of Nels is still one of the show's most cherished elements, and viewers continue to enjoy his poignant moments and humorous timing. Victor French as Mr. Edwards. As Isaiah Edwards, the Ingalls family's authoritarian yet benevolent neighbor, Victor French left a lasting impression. He was a lifelong friend of Michael Landon and made appearances in several of Landon's films such as Highway to Heaven and Bonanza. He carried on performing after Little House, but in 1988 he received a lung cancer diagnosis. At the age of 54, he died the same year. Fans continue to recall Mr. Edwards' loving connection with Charles Ingalls and his fatherly affection for Alicia Sanderson Edwards, and his legacy endures through his stirring performances. Brenda Lee Turnbaugh and Wendy Lou Turnbaugh as Grace Ingalls. Grace Ingalls, the youngest daughter of Charles and Caroline Ingalls, was portrayed by twin sisters Brenda Lee and Wendy Lou Turnbaugh. Twins frequently played the same role because child labor rules restricted the number of hours that young actors could spend on film. Both sisters left acting behind after Little House. Wendy wrote about her experiences on the show after they left Hollywood to live regular lives. Fans still recall their portrayal of the Ingalls family's infant daughter, Grace, even though they're no longer in the spotlight. Kevin Hagen and Dr. Hiram Baker. Dr. Hiram Baker, the town's devoted doctor who always had the perfect cure for Walnut Grove's ills, was portrayed by Kevin Hagen. Long after Little House, he performed in movies and television, starring in series like The Twilight Zone and Gunsmoke. He appeared in one-man stage productions on Abraham Lincoln in his senior years. Hagen tragically died in 2005 at the age of 77 after receiving a diagnosis of esophageal cancer. One of the most enduring aspects of the show is his sympathetic and comforting portrayal of Dr. Baker. Jason Bateman as James Cooper Ingalls. Jason Bateman had a brief but memorable part as Charles and Caroline's adopted son, James Cooper Ingalls, before becoming a Hollywood A-lister. After his character was shot and almost killed, he left the show, having joined in Season 7. Later, Bateman had popularity in sitcoms such as The Hogan Family and Silver Spoons. He rose to prominence in Hollywood as an adult, acting in shows such as Arrested Development, Horrible Bosses, and the highly regarded Ozark, for which he received SAG and Emmy Awards. One of the most remarkable professional paths from Little House actors is Bateman's, which took him from Walnut Grove to significant Hollywood fame. Linwood Boomer as Adam Kendall. Adam Kendall, who taught at the blind school and married Mary Ingalls, was portrayed by Linwood Boomer. Boomer discovered his real passion behind the camera after leaving Little House. He became a very successful television writer and producer, best known for developing the popular show Malcolm in the Middle. He received multiple Emmy nominations for his efforts, demonstrating that switching from actor to showrunner was a wise career choice. Even if he's no longer in front of the camera, he has a big impact on television. Dabbs Greer as Reverend Robert Alden. The benevolent preacher of Walnut Grove, Reverend Robert Alden, was played by Dabbs Greer. He had cameos in Perry Mason, The Andy Griffith Show, and The Twilight Zone over his more than 60-year career. He later portrayed the old Tom Hanks character in The Green Mile. Greer brought warmth to every part and kept performing well into his 80s. Fans continue to treasure the poignant performances he left behind before he died in 2007 at the age of 90. Allison Balson as Nancy Olson. In the last seasons of Little House on the Prairie, Allison Balson played Nancy Olson, Harriet and Nels Olson's spoiled and cunning adoptive daughter. Elliot Olson's absence was intended to be filled by her character, but Nancy was even more problematic. Balson made a few television appearances after the show concluded, but eventually stopped performing. She then became a singer-songwriter after pursuing a music career. She's worked as an academic and obtained a PhD in addition to her musical endeavors. The performance of Nancy Olson is still one of the most memorable wicked parts in Little House history, even though she no longer acts. Hersha Parody as Alice Garvey. Hersha Parody portrayed Alice Garvey, a Walnut Grove schoolteacher and the independent wife of Jonathan Garvey. Her feisty demeanor and steadfast love for her family made her a fan favorite. Her character tragically died while attempting to save children from a burning schoolhouse, one of the most dramatic outcomes in Little House history. Although her appearances became less frequent with time, Parody continued to perform on TV and in movies after leaving the show. She maintained relationships with Little House admirers despite leading a peaceful life away from Hollywood. She tragically died in 2023 at the age of 78. Patrick Labourteau as Andrew Garvey. Andrew Garvey, the son of Jonathan and Alice Garvey, was portrayed by Matthew Labourteau's younger brother, Patrick. Throughout the series, his character had multiple dramatic storylines and was great friends with Albert Ingalls. Following Little House, Patrick became famous in Hollywood, playing Bud Roberts in JAG and its offshoot NCIS. In addition, he voiced characters and appeared as guest stars on several TV series. He's still employed in the entertainment industry as an actor, writer, and producer. and he's married to the actress Tina Albanese. Among Little House grads, his career continues to be one of the most durable. Shannon Doherty as Jenny Wilder. Shannon Doherty played Jenny Wilder, the niece of Almanzo and Laura Ingalls Wilder, before becoming a household name in the 1990s in Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. She soon gained popularity among Little House viewers after joining in later seasons. Although Doherty's career was characterized by controversy and on-set feuds, she succeeded in the 1990s. She kept performing even after leaving 90210 early, going on to star in Charmed, Mallrats, and Heathers. She's struggled with health concerns in recent years, including a public battle with breast cancer. Despite everything, she's maintained her status as a well-liked actress with a devoted following. Melissa Francis as Cassandra Cooper Ingalls. Cassandra Cooper Ingalls, one of the orphans adopted by Charles and Caroline Ingalls, was portrayed by Melissa Francis. Despite her brief stint on Little House, she continued to perform in the 1980s before pursuing a new career as a news anchor and journalist. While working for Fox News and CNBC, she gained notoriety as a political analyst and financial expert. Despite switching to news media, she's cherished her Little House history, frequently expressing gratitude for her time there. She's prioritized her family and non-television media endeavors in recent years. Carl Swenson as Lars Hansen. Lars Hansen, the Swedish founder of Walnut Grove and a well-liked character in the community, was portrayed by Carl Swenson, and before joining Little House, Swenson, a seasoned actor, had a lengthy career in Hollywood. He appeared in iconic television shows like The Andy Griffith Show, Bonanza, and Gunsmoke. He tragically died in 1978, not long after his last scenes as Lars were filmed. The series included his death, and Walnut Grove lamented the loss of his character. His function as the town's creator is still a heartwarming and significant aspect of the show's history. Kyle Richards as Alicia Sanderson Edwards. Mr. Edwards' adopted daughter, Alicia Sanderson Edwards, was portrayed by Kyle Richards. Before getting the part in Little House, the kid actor had already acted in horror movies like Halloween. After her stint on the show, she continued to perform on TV and in film, but her fame as a reality star reached a new height. She joined the initial cast of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and continues to play a significant role there. She juggles acting and reality TV, most notably returning to her Halloween role in the franchise's follow-ups. Charlotte Stewart as Eva Beadle. Miss Eva Beadle, the benevolent Walnut Grove schoolteacher, was played by Charlotte Stewart. She played a significant role in the early seasons, influencing the town's children's developing minds. After leaving Little House, she performed in TV series like Twin Peaks and movies like Eraserhead. She became an active member of the Little House fandom in subsequent years, regularly going to conventions and reunions. She also chronicled her life in Hollywood in a memoir. Stewart is still active and well-liked by Little House enthusiasts, despite being in her 80s. Merlin Olsen as Jonathan Garvey. Former NFL star Merlin Olsen played Charles Ingalls' best buddy, Jonathan Garvey, with love and strength. After his football retirement, Olsen turned to acting, gaining recognition on Little House and appearing in Father Murphy, another Michael Landon production. In his post-acting career, he worked as a sports broadcaster and rose to prominence as an NFL game analyst. Regretfully, he died in 2010 after receiving a mesothelioma diagnosis in 2009. Fans remember him most for his sympathetic portrayal of Jonathan Garvey, despite his success in various other disciplines. Leslie Landon as Etta Plum. In the later seasons of Little House on the Prairie, Michael Landon's daughter, Leslie Landon, played the role of Etta Plum, a schoolteacher. She played supporting parts in the beginning of the series, but rose to prominence in the latter stages. She didn't pursue a long-term acting career like her father did. Instead, she pursued a career in child psychology as a clinical psychologist. She keeps a quiet profile, though she occasionally talks about her time on Little House. Her brief but unforgettable appearance on the show continues to serve as a lighthearted nod to her father's legacy. Bonnie Bartlett as Grace Snyder Edwards. Isaiah Edwards' wife, Grace Snyder Edwards, was portrayed by Bonnie Bartlett. Although she left the show after a few seasons, her character was a powerful and encouraging presence. Bartlett had a long acting career outside of Little House. She earned 2 Emmy Awards for her role in St. Elsewhere. She's appeared on many television programs such as Grey's Anatomy, ER, and Boy Meets World. She and actor William Daniels have been one of Hollywood's longest-lasting spouses for over 70 years. She's still well-known and a busy actress in her 90s. Radamus Para as John Sanderson Edwards. Mr. Edwards' adopted son, John Sanderson Edwards, was portrayed by Radamus Para. After a few seasons, his character, who had been Mary Ingalls' love interest, was written off. Para continued his acting career after Little House, appearing on TV shows like Kung Fu. But in the end, he abandoned Hollywood to pursue a career in technology. He now designs home theaters and seldom ever talks about his performing career. Fans still recall his part in Mary's early romantic plot, even though he was briefly on the show. Stan Ivar as John Carter. In the last seasons of Little House on the Prairie, Stan Ivar played John Carter, the new Walnut Grove blacksmith who moved into the Ingalls' old house with his wife and kids. Despite playing a pivotal role in Little House, A New Beginning, Ivar increasingly distanced himself from Hollywood after the series concluded. He kept up his intermittent acting career, appearing on TV series like NCIS and Star Trek Voyager, but ultimately turned his attention to restoration work and his love of flying. Longtime fans still recall his role as a gentle yet powerful presence in Walnut Grove's later years, even though he hardly ever talks about his Little House days. Ruth Foster as Melinda Foster. Throughout the series, Ruth Foster portrayed Melinda Foster, a gentle and compassionate Walnut Grove resident who occasionally appeared. With parts in iconic television series like Lassie and The Twilight Zone, Foster was well known in Hollywood outside of Little House on the Prairie. Before turning to acting, she also had a long career as a dancer and model. She progressively left the entertainment business after Little House and lived quietly until she died in 2012 at the age of 92. Her presence added to Walnut Grove's heart, even if she wasn't a central character. Jack Lilly as Townsman. One of the residents of Walnut Grove, background actor Jack Lilly, made multiple appearances in Little House on the Prairie. Despite not playing a significant part, he was a mainstay in numerous scenes and helped create camaraderie in the tiny village. Outside Little House, Lilly worked as a skilled animal trainer and stuntman on movies like The Wild Wild West and Blazing Saddles. Before he died in 2021, he continued active in Hollywood for decades, making substantial behind-the-scenes contributions. Pamela Roylance as Sarah Reed Carter. In later series, Sarah Reed Carter, played by Pamela Roylance, became the wife of John Carter and occupied the Ingalls house. She played a powerful, intelligent woman who was the local newspaper editor. Roylance kept acting after Little House, appearing on programs like Justified, MacGyver, and Days of Our Lives. She's still active in Hollywood and sometimes attends reunions of Little House to reminisce about her time on the popular show. David Friedman as Jason Carter. Jason Carter, the intelligent and curious son of John and Sarah Carter, was played by David Friedman. He had a small but noteworthy role in Little House on the Prairie's latter seasons. After leaving the program, Friedman briefly resumed acting, appearing in Punky Brewster and Highway to Heaven. Still, he eventually left Hollywood to work as a studio engineer and composer in the music business. Fans of Little House remember him as one of the younger generations of Walnut Grove's children, even though he stopped acting. Carl C. Pitti as Carl. Another frequent background performer who played a townsman named Carl in Little House on the Prairie was Carl C. Pitti. Despite not being a significant character, he contributed to Walnut Grove's lively and authentic atmosphere. Pitt appeared in many action and Western movies as a popular stuntman in Hollywood off-screen. He was a crucial component to other productions outside Little House due to his behind-the-scenes labor. Brian Part as Carl Sanderson. Isaiah Edwards and his wife, Grace, adopted Carl Sanderson, who Brian Part portrayed. His character was an orphan who eventually left with his adoptive parents after finding a new family in Walnut Grove. Part briefly resumed acting after Little House, appearing on television series such as The Waltons. He subsequently quit the business to pursue his passion for music, becoming a musician and songwriter. He keeps in touch with Little House viewers and sometimes shares his show recollection. Lindsay Kennedy as Jeb Carter. Lindsay Kennedy portrayed John and Sarah Carter's oldest son, Jeb Carter. Introduced in later seasons, Jeb was a daring character who frequently got into trouble. Kennedy made several more TV appearances after Little House before retiring from acting. Despite leaving Hollywood, he still keeps in touch with Little House admirers and sometimes goes to reunions. Olivia Barish as Sylvia Webb. Olivia Barish portrayed Little House on the Prairie's sad Sylvia Webb. Her plot, which involves a covert pregnancy and a terrible end, is still among the most sad in the history of the program. Following Little House, Barish acted in TV shows and movies, including 21 Jump Street, Charlie's Angels, and Fame. Later, she started working on independent movies as a producer and director. Moses Gunn as Joe Kagan. Moses Gunn portrayed Joe Kagan, a former boxer who encountered racial discrimination while establishing a new life in Walnut Grove. Since Little House didn't frequently address social concerns as explicitly, his persona was revolutionary. Outside the show, Gunn was a thriving theater and film actor who was nominated for a Tony Award for his Broadway work. He left a lasting impression on Hollywood with roles in movies like Roots and Shaft. He kept performing till his death in 1993. Bill Barty as Lou Bates. Bill Barty portrayed Lou Bates as a traveling circus act who came to Walnut Grove. His brief visit left a lasting impression. Barty battled for more excellent representation in Hollywood and was a trailblazing actor with dwarfism. During his decades-long career, he had parts in Willow, Legend, and Foul Play. In addition to being an actor, he founded the Little People of America to encourage actors with dwarfism and advocated for individuals with disabilities. He continued to work in the field until he died in the year 2000. Richard Jekyll as Irv Hartwig. Irv Hartwig, a small but noteworthy character in Little House on the Prairie, was portrayed by Richard Jekyll. Before joining the show, Jekyll was a well-known actor, renowned for his tough guy parts in war movies and classic westerns like Sands of Iwo Jima and The Dirty Dozen. He continued to act in TV series like Baywatch and Murder, She Wrote after his stint on Little House. Throughout his 5-decade career, he was nominated for an Academy Award for Sometimes a Great Notion. After he died in 1997, Jekyll continued to be active in Hollywood. Sheldon Allman as Jason Anders. Jason Anders, portrayed by Sheldon Allman, appeared in a few Little House on the Prairie episodes. Allman was a skilled voice actor and songwriter in addition to being an actor, contributing music to series such as George of the Jungle and The Munsters. He also provided voices for theme park attractions and animated television shows. He continued to work in the entertainment industry, behind the scenes after Little House, doing voice acting and music composition until he died in the year 2002. Royal Dano as Hector Webb. In Little House on the Prairie, Royal Dano brought his trademark rough demeanor to the role of Mr. Hector Webb. Dano was a well-known character actor who starred in classic movies like The Right Stuff, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and Westerns. He was a favorite for voice acting and narration because of his deep, gravelly voice, which he used to voice Abraham Lincoln in Disney attractions. With parts in Twin Peaks and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, carried on performing well into the late 1980s before dying in 1994. Eddie Quillen as Buffalo Bill. Fans were thrilled by Eddie Quillen's cameo appearance in Little House on the Prairie when he played Buffalo Bill. Quillen was a seasoned actor who began his career in the silent cinema era and starred in comedies and musicals during the heyday of Hollywood. In addition to appearing in popular TV series like Happy Days and The Andy Griffith Show, he also starred in Mutiny on the Bounty and The Grapes of Wrath. One of his final roles before retiring was in Little House. He left behind a legacy of iconic Hollywood performances when he passed away in 1990. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon